This program was created by Laura Burns with the help of Paige Willis and all the docents at the Harn. And Laura's not with us today. So again, I'd like to welcome Paige, who's going to give us a great introduction to today's session and an upcoming field trip. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Paige. I'm the Community Engagement and Museum Interpretation Manager at the Harn. I have the pleasure of working with the docents, and I'll introduce Kim shortly. So we are midway through our Artful Conversations course. We have one more in-person session here, and then on February 15th, we will all take a field trip to the Harn for a docent-led tour of the galleries. So if you are interested in joining us for that session, there is a sign up for transportation with Okamix bus. You can also drive yourself. Please do note that the Harn has a $4 parking fee. You can get that parking permit at the parking booth. But if you are affiliated with UF, if you're a retired professor, emeritus professor, you may have that UF decal, and that applies in that space there. So Julianne will have the sign-up sheet here, and we'll also move it towards the back of the room. We can accept around 18, I believe, or so for the bus. So please do get your name on there soon. All righty, so now I'll introduce my friend and colleague, Kim Friend. Kim has been a docent for 11 years at the Harn, and in that time, she has been busy touring, being a docent mentor for our new docent training program, being the docent mentor chair, which is a huge responsibility. She's been on the docent board for about 7 years in different roles and has represented the docent program at a national conference. She has a graduate degree with a master's in social work administration from Rutgers University and has worked in the field of developmental disabilities for 30 years in New Jersey. She says she's not an artist, which I don't believe. I've seen her make some art before, but she appreciates art, and whenever she travels, she goes to as many art museums as possible. So she's really pleased to be here today to explore art with you.
Hey. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Julianne. And it's true. I'm really pleased to be here today. So let me make sure I have this turned on. I think it is. Okay, good. So we're going to talk today about storytelling and art. Storytelling and art. And yeah, as Julianne and Paige mentioned, they've got microphones. So I'm not going to lecture. We're going to talk and we're going to dialogue and we're going to really explore some art. One of the things that I want to do today is I want to focus on how artists use color, lines, medium, composition, and symbolism to invoke emotions and to spark our imagination. So I'm really looking for you to sort of leave your left brain, everybody take your left brain, leave it back at your home, left brain over here. We're going to focus on our right brain today, and we're going to really look to explore art and to tell stories and use what? Our imagination, right? So yes, so imagination is a mental image not present through your senses, right? A look beyond what you see, think of something other than what you perceive. So we're going to look past that left brain, go to the right brain, use our imaginations, and move forward. So I think I didn't do that. So storytelling, imagination. I'm not so good on the PowerPoint stuff. So this first slide that we're going to see, I want you to tell me, and I don't know how the microphones are going to work. If you can speak loud, just yell it out, okay? I'm going to write them down. Thank you, Julia. So on this first slide, which I'm going to show you in a second, what I want you to do is to speak the first word that comes to mind when you see this.
And maybe what I can do is Paige and I will be able to hear if they call them out, and then I'll repeat them for the Zoomers too.
Super, that'd be great. So we're going to share and compare each other's ideas for this first piece of work. And our ideas are all worthy of respect and consideration, right? So art is subjective, right? Everybody has different feelings about different kinds of art. however it works. And therefore, we need to hear from each other because sometimes we get ideas from other people. So it's great to do that. We may learn something that you didn't think of yourself before. So this is our chance to learn some other things. And it can be the same word someone else already gave. You don't have to come up with a brand new word. In fact, if it's multiple words, we're going to drill down into that a little bit. So again, your first idea. So ready? Go. Colorful. Rorschach.
Messy.
Messy. Confusion. Primary colors. Exuberance. Oh, I like that one. Sorry, somebody else said something? I'm sorry, say that again. Drag. Oh, there it is with the dragons.
Marble.
Dynamic from chat.
Did somebody say horrible? I heard somebody.
Marble.
Horrible.
And I saw dynamic in chat. Dynamic.
Starts with an M. Marble.
Horrible.
You said dynamic?
Dynamic, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. You guys have a lot of great ideas. So let's start with color. Whoops.
That was me, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So let's start with color. So who said colorful? Does anybody remember who said that? Yes. So what is it about the color that stood out to you? What would you say?
We're different.
That they were different?
They're different and they're very attractive.
Attractive. Okay. Does anybody else have any thoughts about the color? Yes, in the front here.
Hold on, let's get the mic to you.
It's just the first thing that you notice.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Okay.
color.
Color. Yes.
The fact that they're primary colors, but off tone a little bit, you know, richer, more sophisticated, complicated primary colors.
Okay. Off tone.
Shading.
And shading. And they're not solid. They're not solid. So they're, well, and what does that give you the feeling of not being solid? What does that give you a feeling, a thought, movement, depth, movement, changeable. Okay, great. All right, Marilyn, Rorschach. Hello?
Well, you're asking us what our feelings were like. That would be someone asked me, interpret this dream for me.
Okay. So interpreting a dream, that's how she saw that. Other people think that way, or any, yes, other thoughts on that? So exuberance. Who said exuberance? Back there in the way back. Okay. What makes you, when you said exuberance, how does it make you feel?
I see the flow upward, like excitement or lifting.
Moving up?
Yes, just
Oops, I'm changing.
positive.
I gotta watch my fingers. So you see it moving up?
Yes,
up.
lively, exuberant. Side.
Lively. I like the word lively. Lively. Would everybody agree? Lively? Lively? Exuberance? And upward. Upward. Moving up. Do the other people see it that way? Upward? Or no? It's okay if you don't. Who said horrible? Somebody said horrible.
Yeah, I think that was a Zoom participant.
Oh, that was a Zoom participant. Does anybody else in the room think it's horrible?
When I heard somebody say horrible, I thought they said marble. Didn't you? Yeah, they said marble?
Yes,
Oh,
marble.
Marble. Oh, okay. So I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
He said it again.
Person where we are. Marble. Okay. Anybody else have thoughts about that? So I'm assuming marble relating to the way that it doesn't have any specific design to it, that it sort of just flows like maybe a piece of marble might, something like that. Yes.
Well, I had thought marbleized
Okay.
because it looks like the end papers, the marbleized end papers of so many books in the late 19th and early 20th century.
Okay. And everybody hear that? Yeah. So marbleized like that. So dragons. I know that I show this work was shown to a physician assistant group. They come in to sort of look at art, and we show them a lot of abstract art. And there's one person who saw a dragon in everything I showed him. I told him he was watching too much Game of Thrones, which he said you couldn't watch too much Game of Thrones, but I don't know. But anyway, Marilyn, dragon. She sees dragons everywhere. Okay, friendly dragons. Anybody see any dragons? So that's the thing with abstract art, right? We always want to try to make it represent something. We're always looking for that thing in there that's gonna give us some representation of something we recognize or we know. That's neither good nor bad. It's just what our brain wants to do always, is to try to take it there. So would everybody agree this is abstract? Yes. Okay. Abstract is really the lack of representation. And so, like I said, we want to try and make it represent. All right. So this is Lee Krasner. And she did these in 1969, and they're lithographs. And it's ink. So primary colors, as everybody talked about. And do these images evoke any feelings or emotions for you when you look at these images? Not depressing. Okay. Maybe that goes with the exuberance kind of idea. I'm sorry? The beginnings. Okay. So just starting out kind of thing. There's more to come. Okay. Oh, there you go, Marilyn. You planted that idea. There's a dragon in there after all. Yeah. Any other feelings or emotions?
Well, of course, the feeling of emerging. I see this as cosmic structures, during galaxy formation when things started coming together.
Yeah. Thanks. Emerging. There's someone back here.
I find it distressing, especially the middle one where she smears a lot.
Oh, okay. And so it makes you uncomfortable to look at it? Okay. Mary?
To me, the gold one on the right is different from the other two.
In what way?
Well, the gold one, I feel good about. It's not as tangled. The other two, the color is more aggressive in some way, or even darker. And then they're also so tangled that, I feel this urge to untangle them. Whereas the gold one, I'm content to let it does seem upbeat, maybe like nice, pleasant music of some kind. So to me, they're quite different. The three of them are not the same.
Okay. Anyone else on that? Any thoughts on that?
What was her husband doing at the same year? Was she influenced by Jackson Pollock?
Was Pollock still alive in 1969? I'm not sure.
So.
I don't know when he died. He died young, so I'm not sure when he died.
So that's
somebody can. Is that Paige going to look it up for us, and she'll see.
Go ahead, Sonda.
I
see, with Carol's help pulling it up, I saw it moving from right to left.
Ah,
And I'm getting to like it quite a bit. What I see on the right is a horses and men. The middle frame is battle, and the left frame are bad guys being pushed off.
so we've got over here, you're seeing this is more that it actually has something on it. And then over here, you've got battle, red, right? Blood and guts and whatever. And then over here, you've got this whole thing of moving them on, getting out of here. So as Mary was saying, she saw this as simpler, the gold, whereas it seems to get busier and more complicated as it moves forward. Is that from right to left? Would you agree with that? Okay, that's great.
And just to follow up, Jackson Pollock died in 1956.
Yeah, so he was no longer. So Lee Krasner was considered a abstract expressionist. I don't have to put this back. Okay, thank you. She is an abstract expressionist. And so after her husband died, Jackson Pollock, she really did a lot of her own work very differently than he did as well. So I have a quick quote from her, and this is what she said about her work. I like the canvas to breathe and be alive. Be alive is the point. So I thought that was pretty simple. Does anybody else have any other thoughts or questions before we move on? Great. So the next part in our storytelling, we're going to do character. So we're going to be looking at characters. And characters, if you're doing a story, like a written story, is an essential part of the story. So, and we're going to focus on what does the character experience, okay? So look at this. So with storytelling, because that's our focus for today, our theme, right? And we're going to focus on the characters for this particular piece. Who are the people in this painting? How would you describe the people in this painting? Friends. Anyone else? How would you describe the people in this painting? Indistinguishable. Who said that? I can't see. Okay. In what way are they indistinguishable? Okay, so the faces are not delineated, so we can't really see their eyes, their nose. Ah, okay. In their faces, no individuality. What else? What would you say? So where are they going? Again, we're using our imagination, leaving the left brain, dealing with the right. Where are they going? They're out for a bicycle trek. They're out bike riding. And where are they going?
I think I heard it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay. How does it not matter? Go ahead.
Where are they going? I think they're going to be turning right because you can see the heads are mostly facing toward the right.
Oh, okay.
So
she thinks they're going to eventually be focusing off going to the right.
Either that or there's something very interesting happening behind that rope area.
Okay.
It just feels like they're about to go right.
All right.
For me, if free association, I immediately think of 4th of July parades. When people used to decorate their bikes with red, white, and blue paper and ride in a group after all the formal stuff had taken place. So to me, they're a group of people either in a race or following a parade or something like that.
Wow, wonderful. Okay.
I agree with her that it really looks like summertime. Their clothing is lightweight. The colors are bright and like a fair or the 4th of July. I don't think it's a race. Their posture is not as if they're hunkered down racing. They look more like they're having a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks almost like a fairground ropes or something because it's not a race.
Okay.
It looks like it's marked off, but it's more friendly and a fairgrounds or something.
Okay. Wonderful. Yes.
The skin tone looks like they're black.
Yeah.
And do you think that's correct? If so, I think that would have been very unusual. Is that a Stewart person?
It is.
Well, he came from a background, rural northern Louisiana or southern Arkansas. And so he did a lot of paintings of blacks. But I just think this is not something you would expect a group of blacks riding those bicycles at that time. There's one anecdote about him that I think is wonderful, and you may know it, but he taught at Ole Miss before he came here. And there was a black man who was the janitor at Ole Miss who was interested in learning to paint. And of course, they were segregated at the time. And he let him stand in a closet off the classroom in order to take advantage of Stewart's classes.
I've never heard that story. So he peeked through the door and participated.
The door was partially open or all the way open, but that was the way Stewart let him participate. And he became a very well-known artist, as a matter of fact.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
There's someone behind you.
I don't know the artist nor the painting, but I think it's a race. And I think the fact that they're all turning, they look like they're looking to the right. I think it's a construct so the painter doesn't have to do details of their face. It looks like it's very hastily painted.
So you think he was doing it quickly?
I'm wondering,
yes.
Some of the riders appear not to have shoes. Is this a poor person's horse race? Because the caps and the position of them on their bicycles.
I just wanted to comment about the faces not being shown in any detail. This is somewhat relevant. I think maybe I've noticed in sculpture as well, they often don't individualize the face. And I think one thing it does is it allows you to focus on the rest of it. If you had a couple of distinctive faces in there, you would focus on that because we instinctively are interested in fellow human beings, right? This way, it's all focused on the action. I've just been thinking about that. And same with sculpture. I'm thinking, why so often sculpture, the face is just almost like a blur, or very not individualized. So I don't know, maybe somebody else has thought about this. It's just a new idea to me. But here, it does seem relevant that because we can't see the faces, we focus on the rest of it that's going on.
So would you say that this is a realistic painting?
I'm curious about the fencing in the foreground.
Okay.
If it were at a fairgrounds, you wouldn't have that kind of fencing, right?
It's very pointy. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it looks more like it's in front of somebody's property rather than at a public facility. And I'm just curious as to that environment now.
Okay. So we've got the fence in the front being maybe not something that's public land. Fence in the back we probably think could be, right? And they're racing or not racing. We still haven't determined that yet. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Kim, can you kind of repeat that comment?
Mary's asking, what are the puffy things? Are they kicking up dust Or she said, could they be in heaven? There's another thought on that. So. A rider in the foreground.
The rider in the foreground appears to be just on this side of that
of the
fence.
fence.
And directly opposite the rider is another rider, and those two people seem to be looking at each other. So it doesn't speak to too much of a race as much as people bicycle riding.
Right. So today we're talking about storytelling, imagination. So we've got this person in the foreground. So there's the composition, right, of how the artist created this. So you've got this one line of people kind of going this way. You've got this person who's kind of odd man out, right? And they're all looking, how are they looking?
Right.
To the right. Look at this top right corner. What do you see going on there?
I was wondering if that was a bicycle wheel that maybe had come off or was an accident.
Yeah. So do you think they could be looking in that direction right there?
Yeah.
Trying to focus on that.
Maybe the rider was hurled forward past that fence.
Or behind us where we can't see them, right? So there is something going on there that we don't know what that is because he hasn't shared that with us. So this is partially abstract, right? Because otherwise, if it, the road would look like a road, right, Mary? Instead of clouds are living in heaven or something. So, and so he's definitely giving us no faces. There's definitely abstract pieces to this work as well. Does anybody have any other? What do you think they might be saying to each other? Do you have any thoughts on that? What might they be saying to each other? Anybody? What time is lunch? A very important thing. Yes.
I really like the fence in the bottom right because I think it grounds the painting. If you take the fence away, this would be very boring. And I think that is just a wonderful addition. I don't think it has anything to do with the race. I think it's just something he wanted to do.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to comment on the fence as well, because it is very typical of the wrought iron fences he would have grown up with in the South, particularly around cemeteries, but also around Victorian homes. So that clearly is something he would have known.
Yeah, I come from an old town that was founded in the 1600s from New Jersey, and yes, lots of wrought iron. It's beautiful. Some of it is so creative. Yes.
I'm wondering if there's a connection between the wrought iron fence and what we see in the background, which seems to rope them off from the rest of the area. The looped ropes and posts. Does this suggest that they are, I don't want to use the word corralled, but cut off in some way from the rest of society or the world? I mean, I've never really paid attention to the fence before, but I think it's
roping them in, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So as was mentioned earlier, this is a Stuart purser. And he did this in 1946. It's called Bicycles, obviously. He was raised in the pine woods of Louisiana and often incorporated images of the South in his work. His paintings often dealt with issues of social injustice, in particular the inequities to which African Americans were subjected, but he also portrayed carefree scenes of everyday life. And so let's talk a little bit about the shape. Do you see shape in here? You see shape and how he did the shapes? Look at their backs. And is there another shape that's sort of similar to the backs in Hmm? The bicycle wheel. So we've got the curvilinear back and then the bicycle wheel that gives you that whole, so it does give you a sense of movement, moving through, and that they're actually bicycling. I just love this piece. It's one of my faves. Yes.
Given his background, I think he's probably saying in this piece, African Americans are just like white Americans. They have a nice afternoon of bicycle riding, and there's nothing sinister or dangerous about that. It's just a nice, and this picture has a lot of movement in it, a lot of life in it. The use of red is very helpful, drawing your eye across the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
think
it's
he's making a comment like,
yes,
this is life.
yes, everyday life. So a comment in the back. So Purser was a chairperson of the U.S. Department of Art beginning in 1951, so after this, and taught until 1976. Just wanted to give you that little tidbit. Go ahead.
Maybe he's making an entirely different statement from what she just said. Maybe he's saying that these people of color need to know their place, stay in their place, and thus the use of the fencing.
Stay in the lane, so to speak. Maybe. Also, the fence might help to sort of pull the picture together, because the abstractness of the road and we've got a little bit of green in the background that might imply sort of vegetation. But if you didn't have the fence in there, it would kind of all smush together. I don't know. That's part of it too. But that's an interesting thought. We don't know. We don't know what he thought about that. Unless,
I knew Stuart very well and his wife Mary, and that would never have been his thought.
okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so moving on. Our next part of storytelling is the plot. The plot is what happens in the story. It includes the different elements that help the story to unfold and create interest. So we're getting into the novel part. Yay. So our next piece is this. So this is a jade table screen. And can you pick out features in this? Can you see what there is in this? Might be hard to see. This is on display at the museum right now, as is bicycles as well, and the Lee Krasners. Look at that. Anybody? What can you see? It's jade. Yep.
I love how as docents, so many of you have used repeating pieces for the different themes that you're talking about.
Oh, did somebody else use this?
We saw a jade, not this jade.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Paige was very good about making sure we didn't duplicate. She keeps us in line. Okay, so what do you see? Come on. People? How many people do you see, June? Can you tell? 5? Okay. 5 people? Yes.
A deer. I don't know the whole of Chinese or whatever religion, but it looks like the people at the bottom with the deer are kind of your average man. The middle is more higher up. They're more ethereal. And then of course the top is like nirvana, or that's what the Indians call, but whatever
So
the Chinese call.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a heaven, the curved at the top. It's like that's where life should lead you.
I like that. That's great. Well, jade carving has been important in China for over 6,000 years. And it represents virtue of being human and Confucius thinking. So the mountains are spiritual and supernatural in their thinking. And it's a retreat that's favored by monasteries and temples. So often they would go into the mountains And it is usually spiritual, religious people who are focused on that. Taoism, for those who might know something, is a philosophy based on writings by Lao Tzu. And he was from the 6th century BCE, give or take, and he advocated humility and religious piety. So Taoism. So there are 8 Taoist immortals. Though this carving has only 5, right? And they're probably in the mountain Shashon. Shashon, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So we saw somebody mention the deer. So deer, or lu, is associated with longevity and wish for good income. There you go. So whenever you see a deer in Chinese artwork, that's the focus and the symbolism of that. So we saw there's the 3 right here, down here, right? And then there's 2 more up here, and they're working their way up to this top. So let's talk a little bit about the artwork itself. So this is a carving, right? So what is there anything that you like about it or don't like about it? How does it make you feel? Any thoughts? Hold up, Marilyn? It's too good. We got to get you the.
Well, I love how the artist used the natural veins of the jade to emphasize. I mean, he took advantage of that. So the trees are brown, and they contrast with the pale green next to them, and so the trees really stand out. Not only they carved, but they're colored. So I mean, and same thing up there with the Temple Mountain top. He was very skillful in his use of the jade, of the natural ingredients.
Yes, thank you. I agree. That sounds, it's very interesting how he does that carving.
I like how in the bottom, when you first look at this, you see the 3 people at a diagonal. And as they go up, they hit that tree, which pushes them to the right, where you see the 2 higher people. And the person has his arm out, leading you now up to the top of that mountain.
Oh, very nice. So you've got this line that works this way, across, and then up again.
Right. Your eye follows the path of the painting.
That's very nice. Yeah. So this part of what we were talking about is plot, right? So thinking of plot, let's imagine what's happening in the story. Anyone want to tell us a little story? Give us the plot.
Hold on, just one moment. It's hard to see from here, but I'm going to pretend that the kneeling person is a young man being brought up to be schooled by the scholars and spiritual people who are hoping to guide him on the same path.
So he's carrying forward, and they're bringing him up so that he can be trained and taught in the way. And yeah, wonderful. Anyone else have any other plot line? Any other story you want to tell? Right here in the front.
Thanks. Picking up on that last comment, yes, the foreground, the person of the 3 on the left looks to be the teacher of the other 2 who are seated or kneeling. And it appears that it could be, these are all about the same people. It's just that as one ascends through the piece of art, you're ascending through time. And so those people above the two are the ones who had been in training in the lower part of the work. And that then the nirvana at the top is where they have gone. Now, what happened to the third guy? Maybe he's staying in the earthly realm and continuing his teachings. It's hard to say.
Okay. Well, thank you. A wonderful story. Anyone else?
I just want to ask, is the background the natural jade, the base of this?
Oh, you mean underneath?
No, I mean the base of the carving. Is that what the jade looks like? Because I love the impression of the mist of the mountain. It looks very misty. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, you can see it in person.
And to think about the hardness of the jade.
Yes, the
Yeah,
hardness.
it's difficult. It's interesting to think about the hardness of the jade with the softness of the story.
Ah, interesting. Yes. Very good. Oh, up here, Paige. Somebody here.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to throw in that the way he did it with the levels, it appears to be rays of light coming from the upper right to the lower left at the area of the temple.
Okay.
And how he did that with the water running, you can see it more on the left image, the moving of the stream. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Here. It's yeah. So it's called a table screen, and it's from either the 18th or 19th century. And
so for those on Zoom,
it would sit on, this bottom, it's in a frame that sits. So picture it sitting on your desk or, someplace in your home. Wishing for you a successful career and longevity. All right. Well, thank you. Yes.
Talk about the significance. Did we talk about the significance of the tree?
No. Would you like to talk about the significance of the tree?
Well, it's very primitive.
Ah, okay.
In my eye, is it?
So you think it makes it look old? Is that what you're saying? That it's an old tree when you say primitive?
Well, and it's in the ground as opposed to the water and the mist.
So it's anchored? Is that what you mean?
Well, it is.
Mm-hmm.
The roots are there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, think about, we have an Asian garden at the Harn that you can go out and walk through. It's a water garden. And, the elements in a Asian garden are often, you need to have plants, trees, you need to have water, you need to have rocks, and the rocks can represent the mountains. So these are all parts of those sort of elements that help describe the landscape, being outdoors, the idea of meditation, of calm, Zen-like moments. All right, thank you. We're going to move on to our next thing. Oh, so this, which I told you. So symbolism. So from the Met, I took that symbolism as a sort of an artistic practice started in the late 19th century, and it represents a synthesis of form and feeling of reality, and it's the artist's inner subjectivity which reflects emotion or ideas. Okay, so we're going to look at two pieces with thinking about symbolism as part of that. So here's the first one. I bet some people recognize this artist. So on the left, this is how it's hanging currently in the Harn Art Museum. And the right, I asked Paige, and she was lovely enough to do this, to flip it so that you could see the bottom on the top and have a better view of that. But let's look at, so this is Salvador Dali, right? Everybody knows Salvador Dali, right? And representing symbolism, that's like kind of his thing. So he made a series of playing cards using characteristic surrealism technique and symbolism. These are lithographs. And surrealists experimented with ways to unleash the unconscious mind. So there's a lot to unpack in this. So anybody would like to describe what they see?
Well, just as starters, not symbolism, but the numeral 4 with the eyes that are 8s. 4 and 8 is 12, and that's what a queen is, 12. So that you can see that in and out of the, he uses numbers for, Dali uses numbers for represent different things. And apparently there are continuing elements in his art that are here that you would see in other works by Dali. I can't name them right here other than using numbers for facial features. And what the symbolism is, it's Dali, it could be anything.
Well, I did a little research on that, and Dali was very interested in alchemy and tarot. Okay, so there's intentionality of the symbolism of some of the numbers, and number 8 deals with, my understanding, is continuation. So of course it looks like the, infinity sign, repetition, eternity, and cycles. That's the 8. And then the 4 invokes stability and grounded nature of all things. That's what my research showed. And also 4 is half of 8. So I don't know if that has any symbolism to it or why he chose that. Oh, sorry. But so there's some of the numbers. What they could mean, we don't know. But that's some ideas.
I'm confused by the term symbolism. What about in medieval art where the lamb is Christ and there's tons of symbolism. Did you say it started in the 1900s or something?
No, I think this particular symbolism is what we're talking about, where it was probably more related to the surrealism movement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Specific to that. Okay. Thank you.
All right. What else do you see?
I see breasts, and below the breasts, a baby carriage.
A baby carriage. Here?
The crown is upside down at the bottom of the picture, and I see that as wheels for a baby carriage above it.
Okay, I see that. Right, you're talking about right in here. Okay. Yeah. What about the colors? What about the colors? What would you say? What was Dali's focus on the colors here? Anybody? So we've got a red rose, right? And the blue and the red, a classic symbol of beauty, femininity. Yes.
You said blue. I see that more like a green, and I'm thinking, I don't see royal blue.
Reminds me of African colors.
Yeah. And remember, it's an image, so it may not, the colors may not be strongly accurate.
Madonna was always blue.
Yes.
And this is the queen holding the rose, so it could be symbolism of royalty.
You want to repeat that, Kim? Just for our Zoom audience?
So that Madonna wore blue. And so you said the queen.
I'm not sure what this is the deck of cards, and so I'm not sure what the king carries, but a symbol of royalty might be to indicate this is the queen, not the king. Yes. Is a rose because it's a more feminine thing. And I agree with someone else who pointed out the breast in the inverted version, again, a sign of femininity as opposed to the masculine king in the deck of cards.
Okay. So let me ask you about this. Oops, wrong way. Up here. See that? Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts what that might be?
It seems that eyes are very important. I've been looking at the bottom of the one on the left, and it looks like those are eyeballs with eyelashes.
Uh-huh.
And then to the left of that white thing, yeah, and inside that little arch are some more eyes.
More eyes.
And then he's got these broken glasses that you've got to the top that you alluded to.
Oh, you saw that as glasses. Okay.
Yes.
Any other thoughts on this? Yeah, I'm not sure quite. This?
The question was, is it a snake?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Yeah. This looks like an ink. Yeah, see if you look at it on the other side over here, on the left, it's coming up, and then on the other side is a sort of an ink. At first I saw this as, maybe a feather pen or something, but I don't know.
Is it a snake?
Yeah, that's what she asked. I don't know what that is. We could say it's a snake. Why not?
Done. One moment.
The figure is cut in half by this slanted red line. And then you have to wonder, is all the good stuff below the slanted red line where the crown is? And if you turn it upside down, as we see on the right, is that a more masculine dominating image?
Interesting. Okay.
And I only thought of that was because if you associate the snake with women and Eve.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. Just.
So some of the research that I did on this piece in particular, if you look at the top half on the right side, they were wondering whether this was an homage to a particular artist. Apparently, Dali has done homages to other artists in his work. So does anybody have any thoughts of who? I'm looking at the right now, at the top. What that homage might be.
I don't know what the homage, but if you look at, the thing that's kind of snake-like, and the other thing that we thought was maybe an inkwell, they look like handles also. And the other one could almost be like a man or something pushing a wheel. It's all industrial looking. The thing down on the bottom, it looks almost like a bicycle, or again, a ceiling fan. Sometimes the paddles are like that. It's almost a lot of mechanical looking things.
Okay. Right here in the front.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that his signature at the bottom?
Yes, over here.
Yeah. And the EA, what is that?
That I don't know. Here. Yeah, yeah.
That's his signature. The EA probably relates to the addition of lithographs.
You asked about homage on the upper right, on the right side card. Is that what you mean? On the upper right of that card, of that version?
Yes.
It reminds me of a Matisse, those figures of his where they're bent over like that.
Okay.
Could be that, but then I wouldn't be able to explain the horizontal line on top of it.
How about Picasso?
Or Picasso, yeah, or sculpture. Some of the, So
yeah, it was suggested in the research that I did that it might be an homage to Picasso. That's why I asked if anybody might recognize that. So the other last thing I just want to point out is this supposedly is a girl jumping rope. So if you look at just this part of it, it kind of looks like a rope above the head, and I don't know, kind of looks like a insect, but anyway, and then this might be the reflection or the shadow over here. So apparently Dali, which I did not know until I did this research, illustrated the Lewis Carroll books, Alice in Wonderland. So of course the queen is essential, though it's the Queen of Hearts. The queen is essential, and that maybe this is Alice jumping rope over here. That was suggested in the research that I did. But you guys have come up with a lot of great ideas for this today. This is really good. Does anybody have any other thoughts they want to share before we move on? Because we have 2 more pieces we want to do, and we're starting to run out of time. Any thoughts? All right. So I just wanted to share. So he did these in 1970, and the double images, they are saying, are part of Dali's paranoia critical method. So I just wanted to share that. It sounds very Dali when you read it. He explained this process as a spontaneous method of irrational understanding based upon the interpretive critical association of delirious phenomena. And there you go. Dali as him. All right, so one more on symbolism. I bet people know what this is. Maybe? Yep, Jerry Uelsmann. So again, the synthesis of form, feeling of reality, and the artist's inner subjectivity. So Jerry Uelsmann apparently always said that he never intended for there to be meaning in his photographs, and that he did not put symbolism in, but I'm not sure that stands for this. Does anybody have any thoughts on what they see here in terms of symbolism, or in terms of what you think about this piece? This is huge, by the way, this piece. Very large when it's hanging. It's not hanging currently, but it's very large. What do you see happening in this one? Ooh, must be getting close to lunch. We don't know.
For Zoom, the question was, is that a Bible?
Yep, it's not clear. There's somebody right here.
I think it's very interesting that despite all the detail on the bottom and all the detail on the top, my eye keeps going to the crow. And I keep focusing on that and wondering what the crow is doing there and what its relationship is to the rest of the picture.
Well, what do you think?
I have no idea.
Anybody or any thoughts about the crow?
No anecdote, right?
So we've got the hands on the book, we've got the crow, and then there's a figure right back there. Go ahead.
Well, could it be, does the crow sometimes symbolize death? And if so, again, could this be depicting a span of time where the person clung to the word, wherever the word comes from? It could be a dictionary, for goodness sakes. It could be the Bible, and clung to the word, and death came, and he's either hoping or he is ascending to his place of where he would like to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So describe the hands. Anybody? Can anybody describe those hands?
Clinging to the word.
Clinging to the word. And what about them? The hands themselves. Look at those hands.
Elderly hands.
Older hands. What else about the hands?
They've worked a lot.
They've worked a lot. Okay.
A wedding ring, I heard.
Yes, there's a wedding ring on the left hand over here. Are the hands solid? Right? You can see through the hands, right? See through the hands?
That's because the hands are of the past. The spirit has left the hands.
Ah.
And so it's not all remaining and thus translucent.
So what do you think about the building, the structure? Has her hand raised? Yeah.
Wait one moment.
That architectural structure would represent something like the Temple of Learning with how we deal with literature and its ability for us to access knowledge, information, which is that person that's moved from the pages into the Temple of Learning.
Okay. So we've got a different interpretation. One is moving from life to death, and the other is moving from knowledge.
Reading information and gathering knowledge.
Yeah.
And the crow, that's a good question. I don't know.
I've heard the crow can be two things. Crow can represent death, but it also can represent messenger, right? Raven, crow, messenger. So Jerry Uelsman did this in 2004. So I'm gonna, this is gonna, so one of the things that Jerry Uelsman did, this is titled Dream Theater. And there's a rock group by the name of Dream Theater, and he actually did a cover for one of their albums. So I just wanted to play you like a quick snippet for those of you who might have known Jerry. This probably isn't too far off from what you might. So I just picture Jerry in his workshop, studio, listening to this while he's doing his work. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway. So it was not this image that was on the album cover. It was something eyeball, but the group is called Dream Theater, and they actually, I never heard of them before. They have a ton of music out there right now. Did you want to say something? Oh, okay. No, he wasn't singing. It was the group singing. All right. So last but not least, we're going to do dialogue. So this is where bring your characters to life and help us to understand what is happening. So the next painting is just fun. So let's use our imaginations, and using dialogue, let's just tell a story. And that's how we'll wrap up today. So this is from the Vickers collection, Florida Impressions. I don't know if you've been to the museum recently. The Vickers, a couple of years ago, gave a huge donation to the museum of work that's about Florida. And this is one of the pieces, and this is hanging right now too. So, okay, come on, dialogue. We're telling a story. This is a telling a story. What are these people saying to each other? Come on. Who wants to go first? Tell a story. Cliche Florida. But what are they saying to each other, Marilyn? Yeah, it's dialogue. What are they saying? Life is good, doing what I'm gonna do. I'm fishing. Got my garden. Living life, making busyness out of living life.
Over here, we heard leaving Boston behind.
Leaving Boston behind. See, it's John and Lizzie Wilson from Boston, Mass. Right there is their sign on their trailer, the front of the trailer. Come on, what do they say? How about this guy in the front? What's he saying? What's he saying to his neighbors? This guy right here. Whoop, whoop, right here.
What does the fellow have in his hand? He can't make it out.
It's mail. He's carrying the mail. So let's say he just came from the mail room. So what's he saying?
We heard just did my work for the day.
Just did my work for the day. Oh, we're going to get the mail. He did his work for the day. That's what he's telling them. How about this guy over here? Way over. I don't know why this is working for me. Okay, right here. What about this guy? What's he saying? Time to go fishing. Yeah, this guy right here for sure. He's getting ready. And how about her in the background here? What is she saying? Woman's work is never done. So that's what she's saying. All right. Well, we're pretending they're talking to each other. That's the point, the dialogue.
I think this is an odd choice for dialogue, since it's so very clear that there is no dialogue in this picture, that every person is very content, at least from their facial expressions, doing what they're doing without interacting, which they've been doing their whole lives.
So dialogue sometimes in a story takes place in our head, in the head of the character, right? So what are they saying to themselves? Let's do it that way. Anybody? I heard woman's work is never done. How about here? It's a beautiful day. Let's get out and enjoy it.
They're saying, I'm sure glad I'm here in February and not up in Boston.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think we're done for today. So, somebody else. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot of stuff to be done, though, when you're camping. And don't you think the fellow on the right is fixing his car?
I think he's washing it. I think
he's washing it.
Yes, I think he's holding a hose, right?
Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see
it's
the
a little
hose.
hard to see.
But
he's holding a hose and he's washing his car, making it beautiful.
Yeah, and the woman in the back.
Right here.
But I think that's a Florida sky. And of course,
it is a Florida sky. It's definitely in Florida.
And
right here's water right back here. I mean, they're right on the water, seriously, right there. There's a hand in the back, I think.
The bushel basket.
What's in the bushel basket? Right here in the front? Looks like grapefruit. Yeah. Make it, definitely say in Florida. You got palm trees, say in Florida, fruit, say in Florida. It's all Florida. Yay. And the flamingo, yes, of course. You can't forget the flamingo. No. Well, you have been a great group today, and I want to thank Laura Burns, who's not here with us, for conceiving this idea and making it happen. Paige, as the docent supporter and champion, yay. And Julianne, for all her work coordinating this event and making it happen. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for hanging in there. And I loved all of what you shared today. It's wonderful. And I hope you got something out of it too.
We thank you both as well. And don't forget to sign up and let us know if you're going to meet us there. There's a place for both signups here on the clipboard. Thank you again.
I will see you at the Harn. Oops, there was one more slide, Julian.
Oh, okay.
That talks about next week. So there's one more left, right? Oh, I missed it. So next week, Seeing Differently with Faith Randall. One more in the series left. So come back. Thank you. Yes. So you can park anywhere in the lot. Don't go through where the arm is. Yes. Is that the bus? Okay. Woohoo. Oh, thank you. It's fun. I love to do this. This is a ton of fun. So if you're still available.